Welcome, rodeo fans. Welcome, rodeo time fans. We've got in the house Mr. Weston Newsome.
Yes, sir.
As well as Ricky. How do you say your last name?
Guerra.
Ricky Guerra. Get those mics up to your just a little more. There you go. Oh, yeah. Man, I've been next to you guys on the drive a lot, and we've worked here maybe three. This may be the third spring.
Yes, sir.
And both interesting guys. And I just wanted to sit down with a couple of day work hands, Weston and Ricky. Weston, you don't want a ranch fuel.
It's too late in the day for me, but thank you.
Ricky,
one.
don't mind if I do. There's a mango twist.
Ooh, mango.
They are good, though.
Yeah. So where are you guys from?
I live just between Canyon and Happy,
Yeah.
just south of Amarillo.
How long you been there?
We've been there since 18.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But where'd you grow up?
I was raised in East Texas and in Southwest Oklahoma.
Okay. Didn't you spend some time out west, though?
Yeah, sure. I went to a few outfits in New Mexico and Arizona and just through the works. I never did stay out, never did live out there.
Yeah. Well, tell me about that. What was it? Why don't we start at the beginning of your cowboy career? Because this is part of what I call the Texas Cowpuncher series. The first one was with Wakefield. And every now and then I'll put like just a little bit of what the podcast is about in the title. So like today, a podcast with Ross Coleman came out, the PBR. Bull rider, and the whole first hour, all we did is talk about fight stories. And so on his, I put Ross Coleman fight stories and Rodeo Time podcast. But anyway, with Wakefield, I did Texas Cowpuncher, and I was like, man, I just want to get any of my buddies that have been ranching, that have been punching cows, hear their story, and share it with the world. And I got nothing against New Mexico cowpunchers, Arizona cowpunchers. I just happen to live in Texas, so those are the ones I know more of.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we just basically get on here and just tell our story, what it's been like being a cowboy. So, did you grow up cowboy in Weston?
No, sure. My dad was an ag teacher and high school rodeo and roped calves. And then my granddad in Oklahoma, he ran lots of wheat pasture cattle and traded lots of yearlings and had cows. And I just really took to that and spent all the time with him I could. And that's kind of where I got going. And my best friend, Ken Collins, they've got a little old ranch there in Southwest Oklahoma. And I met him when I was about 18. And he kind of just took me under his wing and just taught me how to be dropped off on a drive and just held my hand and, kind of guided me through the wilderness. And then he moved back out here to the Texas Panhandle and got me working out here. And I just went to meeting fellas and just kind of went on from there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What, did you think you knew more whenever you started running around with Kent?
I figured out pretty quick how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
I pulled up and he's a horse chiropractor, and I had a horse that was needing cracked. He was hurt, and I pulled up and Ken was cutting his grass with his boot still shotgunned, and pulled up and I was like, this guy here is different than anyone I've ever met, and you can just tell right away. And we just fell in. We were friends right then, and just kind of went from there.
Yeah. You said your dad rodeoed a little?
Yeah, sure. He roped calves, which down there in East Texas, lots of calf ropers, and
For sure.
Dad roped calves, and they run cattle down there in the river bottoms, and he grew up doing it. And then when I was little, they sold all their cows off and all their hay equipment and everything, and he just went to hunting and fishing, and I was raised doing that. And then I got to wanting to rope, so he jumped right back in it with me. We roped, and he hauled me around the rodeos, and I was very blessed. He took good care of me and gave me everything he could.
So you were familiar with it, but you had not been dropped off.
No, I'd never been on a big outfit, any kind of big country at all.
Yeah. Do you remember where you went for your first time?
I think probably Sneed's, just right across here between Dumas and Stinnett.
Yeah. They welcome you with open arms.
Oh, that crew, they were pretty wild and fun. I tried to fit right in with them.
Did you just have to flank everything, or did you get to rope?
Oh, I flanked plenty of them, but no, by then, heck, everybody got to drag. You know, it wasn't like it. You hear them stories like it used to be, where none of the young guys got to drag, but they dang sure let a guy rope.
Yeah, I guess you'd been. I mean, that was one thing that you probably didn't have to get taught, was if you had been roping calves, you probably knew how to rope pretty good.
I could rope a little bit, yes, sir.
Yeah,
I mean, a little.
right. And then fast forward, what brought you here in 2018?
My wife and I got married in 16. I'd been day working around, and then we got married, and I started shoeing horses full time, and we both went to college there at WT in Canyon, and so we just kind of ended up settling back there, and I've just kind of built my shoeing business, and then I've just been back day working the last 2 years.
Yeah. So when did you go out to New Mexico and Arizona?
I think I went to the Trig and worked for Greg Gudgel in 13, the fall of 13.
Oh, so before you moved up here.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And I don't even think I had a house. I just would go from place to place, or, stay with someone if I was in between something. But, yeah, I went to work for Greg there in 13 and I had a little camp. I stayed that winter, and then I went to Arizona that next spring and helped through the works, and then just kind of started back day working, came back.
Where'd you go in Arizona?
Went to YOLO's.
What are some of the big differences out there?
Oh, it's just rocky. It's just slower. You just spend a lot more time in a walk and just really try to save your horse to make a run or two on some cows, because that's probably about all you're going to get out of them. And dang sure don't want to lose a shoe on the drive.
Yeah.
But no, them guys, they work, not much different than us, really.
Yeah.
Really good cowboys. Ken James and Keith James and some of them younger fellers out there, they were all really, really good cowboys. It was a great opportunity to get to be around them people. I'm really glad I got to see them guys work.
What about New Mexico?
I really like New Mexico a lot. I stayed there in eastern New Mexico a lot and helped some people. And then up there at that Singleton ranch that Greg runs, that was a really fun fall. Greg's great to work for, and man, we go through 2 horses a day, and I mean, we run and roped and hunted remnant and run dogs, and he was sure good to work for.
All of the things.
Yes, sir. I really liked it.
Where do you feel like you've been able to grow the most as a cowboy?
Oh man, probably that last couple years that I was going, and probably the last year that I've been back at it, kind of settled down and, just started really trying to pay attention and be better at it, not just be there for the hangout and the party after.
You mean the last year, like in 2024?
Yes, sir. Yeah, just since I've been back going, I've been really getting to work around good guys. I'm just trying to pick back up where I left off and just keep learning and keep going.
Yeah. When'd you learn to shoe horses?
Me and my buddy Josh Burns were going to help McCoy's down there by Balmoray, and then they had another ranch in Kent, and they said bring 4 apiece, and they need shod all the way around. So we just went at them with a bucket full of rusty tools and went to whacking and tacking.
Yeah.
And then just kind of went to learning from there.
Right. What but now, I mean, what year was that? Because
that would have been in like maybe 12. And then I kind of just shod my own ranch horses along. And then when I decided I was going to do it, I started going to horseshoeing contests and went and got certified and got my journeyman and tried to get involved with the Texas Farriers Association and just tried to be really involved in that and try to get good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of guys, we've talked about it, like you kind of got to have a side hustle.
It's been shoeing horses has been a great blessing for me and my family. We've got us a place kind of put together, and I mean it helped us get a leg up, and I really loved it. I like going to them contests, and I really like working on feet, but I'm kind of ready to I'm ready to break the monotony of that now. I'm kind of got burnt out a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still shooting plenty of them, but I'm doing some other stuff now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about some of those side hustles with cowboys. I mean, for the most part, you know, it's either, well, I mean, like shoeing, it does get so monotonous, and you're just bent over all day for hours and hours. And before you know it, same thing with horse training, like just circles and circles and circles and
My
circles.
hat's off to them people that can ride 20 a day and then actually get in their head and train them.
Yeah.
That's a special person that can do that.
And then treat each horse, you know, and give him the attention he deserves. And then same thing with horseshoers, though. I mean, like, I guess you do get to a point, I guess, where you can walk around them faster and faster. And, you know, you see guys that get them on there. And I got in with a good crowd. Like I tell everybody, I got to shoot horses like I got to punch cows. I was around the best. I'm a C+ student just because I'm not very good. It ain't their fault because I've dang sure been shown how to do it proper and had lots of help. Yeah. Yeah. I held many horses for my dad, my old man, and you know.
That's like watching a team roping that you're not in, holding a horse for a horseshoe. That's the worst thing in the world.
Well, he was always the one trimming and shoeing, and I don't know. I guess I took it for granted. I should have learned, but and I guess I still could. Here I am talking about it, but yeah. Anyhow, once he parted ways, I had to start paying somebody. But I don't know. It just makes my back hurt watching y'all.
It's hard on equipment.
Yeah. What about you, Ricky? You shoe any horses?
Not if I don't have to. I shoe a few of my own, but I dang sure don't want to shoe for nobody else. I don't think anybody else would enjoy that or prefer it. But my girlfriend actually is a third-generation horseshoer. So
she does.
She shoes my horses for me.
Oh, nice.
Real nice, yeah. Very nice. Dang. Spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, some people got sugar mamas.
Somebody got yeah.
Some people, you know, she does all the cooking and cleaning.
Yeah, she does that too, yeah.
And you got one that'll shoe your horses for you.
Yeah, I hit a home run. Oh, yeah.
Dang.
Makes it easy on a man.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How long does it take her to walk around one?
Ooh, not as long as it would take me. So,
yeah.
But I mean,
bottom line.
Oh, yeah, she can step around them pretty quick. 45 minutes an hour, she can get full
That's
set on
awesome.
a set of horse, yeah. And know the science behind it and everything.
I feel like there would be fewer things sexier than a girl jobbing one in the belly with the end of a rasp.
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about that, but
just mumbling a cuss word at him.
Yeah. The best thing is I like when she looks at me when she gets mad and I'm holding the horse. Are you holding him? I said, yeah, I'm holding him.
Yeah. Throw a set of nippers across the pin.
Yeah. I always keep my head on a swivel when I'm around. So.
Golly, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. She's a firecracker.
Borderline cute, probably.
Oh, yes. Gorgeous. Most gorgeous little filly I've ever seen.
Well, I'm just saying whenever they get mad at a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she's good looking.
Thank you.
I wasn't speculating on that. I'm just talking about, yeah, I can just picture. I mean, you're just not a horseshoer if you haven't gotten mad at one of them walking around them. That's just part of it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way I was raised, at least.
That's the way I've seen it, too.
It just feels good every now and then to kick a dog.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't kick dogs, but somebody said that once and I thought it was hilarious.
Saw it in a movie.
Yeah, I saw it in a movie. Yeah, I've never actually done that. What about cowboying? Where'd you been cowboying your whole life, or did you get started later?
No, sir. No, I'm from a little south of San Antonio, a little town called Poteet, and
oh yeah, Strawberry Festival.
Strawberry Festival.
Yeah, I got a good little rodeo.
Yes, sir. Yep, good little rodeo. Anyway, My dad, he actually worked at a power plant. He was a mechanic and a welder for about 34 years there, but he always bought, sold horses, dogs, guns, trailers, trucks, anything he could make a dollar on. And we had a lot of catch jobs, mostly catch jobs down there in that brush country. And so we'd work a few sets of cows for some people that we always kind of got around to every year, but mostly catch jobs, the way I grew it.
What's that look like?
What's it look like?
Yeah, I mean, like you just get a call from somebody.
Yes, sir.
And you guys are known for that?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So my dad, he raises a lot of dogs. I grew up actually hog hunting every night until I got in high school. I kind of got burned out of it, and so started turning a bunch of dads.
It took you that long?
It took me that long.
It took me about like a dozen trips.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay.
I loved it, man.
I ain't doing this.
My grandfather, he was a rancher and a farmer as well. He grew cotton and peanuts. And so them pigs ran them every night. And
yeah.
So were we. And so.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep in a side-by-side with TJ Haney. And I'm like, old son, your boy's going to the house.
Your boy's going down. Yeah. No, I looked forward to it. I mean, I couldn't even concentrate in school. All I wanted to do was just chase hogs.
Dang.
That's all I wanted to do. Then I got in high school and things started changing. So I kind of wanted to chase more cattle than what we had been doing. And,
yeah.
You know, my dad's a little older, so he kind of slowed down a little faster than what I was ready to. Whenever I wanted to kick up, he was kind of pulling up. So,
what did y'all pack them to a trailer and sell them, or did you knife them, or what'd you do?
We would mostly just knife them, and you know, there was some people that lived down the road from us on both ends that were a little bit less fortunate. And we would take them all the hog meat they could want, and they would clean them and eat them, and they loved it. And, you know, we'd catch some big boars, and, you know, heck, we dang sure didn't want them. Well, they would, you know, skin the skulls out and stuff and bring them as gifts for Dad. And so we had a big old line of big old skulls down there.
That's awesome.
Big old tusk, yeah. Yep.
Hey, old son, if you're like me, you eat a lot of steak. I love to cut into a juicy, tender ribeye, cooked medium rare, and it came from the 4-6's Ranch. That's right. You can get your steak from 46steak.com. And for a limited time, now through the end of August, use code DALE and get 15% off on orders that are above $50. There's a link below. All you got to do is click it and go get yourself a ribeye, get a brisket, get whatever you want, old son. You'll be eating like a king, like Dale Brisby. And the odds are that I ranched on that steak, maybe even while I was filming Yellowstone. Well, Taylor Sheridan was filming it, but I was the star of the show. So go to 46steak.com and use code DALE, old son.
Yeah, that's a neat way to... I knifed some of them just because, I don't know. But I liked catching them alive.
Oh, yeah.
Selling them. Yeah.
Yeah, we trapped a bunch, too, so that's kind of how we would sell them live instead of whatever we caught with the dogs. We had so many big cur dogs. By the time you got there, if there was a big pig, you know, there'd be a little bit left of him. But if it was a small hog, you know, them dogs went ahead and did the work.
Yeah, we used to... Leroy and I managed a ranch for a few years. My dad was running it, and then he died. And we ran it, and then they sold it, and I moved to Winnebago. But regardless, we would this place had hogs everywhere. It was over in East Texas, over kind of by College Station, Franklin area. Okay. And thick Yopon.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, sir.
And we'd go, you know, when we were running the dogs, they'd be like either TJ Haney or Carter Davis. Those are the two guys I'd go with. And they'd pull up that GPS, and we'd be looking at a wall of brush.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like if a cow was 6 foot in there, you couldn't see her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you couldn't see her. And we'd be looking at this wall of brush, Yopon, post oaks, and vines everywhere. And they'd be holding that GPS, and they'd look up, and they'd be like, all right, 780 yards that way. And you run that way. You get there, be like, okay, 640 yards this other way. You're like, all right, that's it. You go find them. And I got so tired of it. Because
absolutely.
It's one thing if we're in country like this, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you could run forever, straight line.
But yeah, anyway, that's what got old to me. But so anyways, what I was going to say, well, that ranch we were on, we did run dogs quite a bit. and them guys were ate up with it like you were. Well, then we'd shoot them also, like when we saw them, obviously. When we trapped them, we sold them live, but we got to where if we killed a hog, like we would skin it out, let it hang, and then smoke it. And we loved it. You know, we'd eat a hog. We never wasted a carcass.
Right.
And because we had that hanging freezer, and we were just constant. And I got so tired of pork.
Hog meat.
But the big ones, I felt like when you smoke them, so like hang them in the freezer for 7 days, soak them in Italian dressing for 24 hours.
Cure them.
And then low and slow for, about 12 hours at like 220.
Yes, sir.
And they all tasted the same.
Oh, yeah.
We made tacos for this safety meeting for this oil company. It was 40 people. And afterwards, they all loved it. Or at least they said they did. Yeah. Nobody complained. And afterwards, we showed them a picture. This pig weighed 340, this boar hog.
Big hog.
But we had done that to the meat before.
Right.
But anyways, we got to where like we didn't want to kill anything anymore because we weren't going to leave it out there.
Right.
Anyways, I don't know how we got on my hog hunting tangent because it gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about going. But back to you. So you're wanting to switch from hog hunting to catching cows.
To catching cows, yeah. Which I had done growing up. And, my dad had hired some day workers that were from down the valley. And I thought I still think that they're some of the best cowboys I've ever seen with a horse or catching a cow or a bull or anything. Yeah. Wild. They're wild. I always wanted to be like them. They kind of helped direct the way I wanted to go. Mm-hmm. I was in high school and I got a job at a pre-con yard, but I was just riding the young horses, and Dad always had horses he was buying and selling and trading. So I got to ride a bunch of junk growing up. And so I like that. I like that more. That kind of took the place of hog hunting, riding these junky horses and catching cows on them and just doing it, and so, worked for this pre-con yard, and I was just riding their horses. Well, one day, the boy that was doing the processing didn't show up. And so they had 2 loads of cattle come in. So while I'm riding these horses, heck, I just unload them. I know the lots. I know what everything was going, so I just went ahead and processed them. Well, put them up in a different spot. Well, the next day, I'm riding them horses when I get out of school, and he didn't show up again. So I went to processing those next 2 loads, processed those, and then shipped out the 2 loads that come before. And boss showed up and asked if I wanted a job processing cattle, which I really didn't. Kind of liked where I was, just riding them horses, but heck, I kind of felt like it was a bigger status. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I think I can handle it, so I took it on, and I did that all through high school. Yeah. And then I decided I wanted to went to Uvalde, Southwest Texas Junior College. I really just wanted to rope. I didn't want to go to school, so. Like I said, my dad was a welder growing up, and so I'd help him put up buildings, and he would always buy and sell pipe, and we'd do pipe fences and all kinds of stuff. So figured that would be an easy class. So I went to welding, and I went to welding class, and went to Heelan for the college for a year, and then after that, I went to work back home for Sutton Ropes. And I was with Sutton Ropes just right after the late great Gary Sutton passed away. And so I worked for them for a few months. And then my partner in college had a brother that was working for the King Ranch, and they had an opening there. And so I went down there, and I had met the boss and all those other cowboys that were there. And heck, I guess they took a liking to me. Well, they offered me the job. So I went to the King Ranch. I was there for, I got hired right after I turned 19, and then I left right after I turned 22. So I was there about 3 years, something like that. And I met Zach Peters there. He was my boss there for the King. And, man, we did it.
Are you calling Zach the King, or were you referring to the whole ranch?
To the whole ranch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach is the king.
Zach, I've seen that guy work. He does work pretty good.
He's a tall guy.
He's a tall guy. Yeah, he's up there. Yeah, he's a good guy. So, yep. So they had a lot of remnants to clean up. A lot of those full-time guys kind of just let it go away. They didn't really want to hunt the brush a whole lot. Well, here I come, the King, and I got a whole slew of cur dogs and a good stout saddle. And so we went to riding and catching remnants, and we had a good time. Yeah. We had a real good time down there.
So it was like a flashback from when you were catching them with your dad.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. It was everything I ever wanted to do.
How many different jobs you think you went out on with your dad going to catch cows? Like how many times you think you?
I couldn't tell you how many, but I could tell you a few pretty funny stories. You know, we went to go catch a big longhorn cow one time, and she was in the brush. She was fine. She was big old spread on her. And this cow, you know, we finally got her out of the brush, and she sees Dad, and she going back toward the brush, and I go to cut her off. Well, Dad missed, and I went to throw a rope. Well, I just caught her by one horn. When I caught her by that horn, I was riding this kind of junky gray horse, and right as I caught her that horse, I guess, got scared or something, jumped off to the left with that rope held on that horn. It about jerked that cow down, and she had her other horn stuck in a mesquite tree. And so Dad just rode up and just healed her and just looked at me and smiled big. So
that's funny.
Yeah, we were young. I was young whenever that happened. Heck, I bet I was 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
You know, so, but there was a lot of instances like that where you just
tied off.
No, sir. No, Dad never let me tie off.
Really?
I didn't. Dad dallied, and I never seen him lose his dally. I mean, in the brush, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
He never let me tie off until I got about 17, 18. I started kind of going out on my own. I started tying off. And it was funny because I'd have horn knots growing up, you know, and Dad would always take them, hide them, you know. And so I'm glad he did because it taught me how to dally.
Yeah.
And I can dally pretty confidently, you know.
Right.
But, yeah, he didn't like me tying off. He still doesn't. We go work, you know, a few sets of cows here and there, and he sees that horn knot, and he's like, "Still tying off?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." Makes it a little easier, I think.
What were the other those day work hands that you thought were the ducks nuts? What were they doing? Tying off or
they were tying off?
Yeah,
yes, sir. They were tying off, and they were, you know, one day they would just bring a horse in, and the horse could be completely junked to them for a day or two, and then another day or two after that, they're out there catching cows on them, catching bulls on them, and a week after that, Dad's trying to buy them. You know, they were making horses every day.
Yeah,
every day. You know, they were making bad horses good.
Man, you talk about processing, how you didn't want to. When I'm having a bad day, that's what I think about, working at the feedlot, processing.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
On the dang graveyard shift.
Mm-hmm. All night.
Yeah.
I was maybe 13 years old, I think, in Crow Hollow feedlot right there. It was in Headley. It's still in Headley, but it's not called Crow Hollow anymore. That's why I say was, but regardless, yeah.
Yeah, no matter where you are, processing isn't very fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good if you got a good crew, but I was processing by myself mostly, you know, so it's like you got to push cattle up, and you got to catch them, then you got 2 wormers, 3 vitamin shots, 2 vaccines, you know, brand, castrate, you know, it takes some time, but I guess once you get your little roll going, you get lost in it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's work. Mm-hmm. That's the grind.
Yes, sir.
When people want to be a cowboy, they think about what we're doing today.
Right.
They don't think about, they don't realize that there's that side of it.
Yes,
and
sir.
Yeah, they'll sign on for whatever, and there's just, this is the pinnacle, you know. It's
right.
such a privilege that we even get to be here.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely,
most definitely.
But like whenever we get to any branding crew, even the guys that work here full time, though, you know, like this is 3 weeks for them out of the year, and then the rest of the year you're doing the grind,
the chores mostly.
Right? Yeah, you're putting out mineral and you're feeding and you're
fixing fence and building fence. And
they got a lot of yearlings here, so they're processing. You know,
yes,
they're doctoring yearlings, and anyway, it's just, I don't want to say bitter. I don't know the word, but I just get so many people that want to, learn
the hero work. Yeah,
learn, and there's just, ranching is not all that some people think it is.
Yes,
there's just this other side of it that
nobody wants to do, but has
not
to be
to
done.
mention, we hadn't even brought up the finances. Good heavens!
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What's a trailer tire cost these days? 2 days a day work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I picked a bad time to get back into punching cows.
Yeah.
Everything I had.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It really is.
But Yeah, I've made a couple of videos a few times, like how to get started ranching, because that's like people ask me that all the time. You know, yes, I am the authority on it. I am the world's greatest bull rider and cowboy, but I wouldn't necessarily make that video.
Right.
But that people message me all the time, and we're talking about like, I mean, you'll have a 14-year-old kid in just the middle of Missouri who lives in a city from St. Louis and just appreciates cows and appreciates Western movies. And he doesn't know. And so, but he gets on the internet. Well, hey, I pop up. So he's going to ask me, how do I get started ranching? And so anyhow, I've made these videos, how to get started ranching. And I usually present like, hey, these are some entry-level jobs. But I remember one day we were making the video and had a cow die, had a horse cripple, had a blowout, just one of those kind of days, you know. And I remember looking at the camera, how to get started ranching. Don't.
Yep.
That was my, just don't.
If you like your money and your sanity, don't do it.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, it is a good life, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think though people just got to know that it does come with its hardships. It does come with you know, a side of a level of hard work that I think the general populace just isn't accustomed to.
Right.
You know. So anyway, what looking back for you, Weston, what was the job for you in ranching where it's just like, or maybe it wasn't in ranching, where you're just like, oh man, I'm glad I'm doing this today. I'm just so glad I'm not doing that thing.
I dang sure did the tour at the feed yard. I broke my arm one winter. I got on a processing crew and we processed in the middle of the night and worked at a sale barn through college. And about any days you're punching cows, I'm pretty thankful that I'm not in any of them spots.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm not at a feed yard shoeing horses.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know. I guess a step up from the processing crew at a feed yard would be, you know, riding sick cattle.
It's just so dang hard. If you ride anything you care about, you just feel bad for your horses the whole time. It just drives them into the ground. They get as burnt out as you do.
Right.
It's good for them for, 60, 90 days. They look at 20,000 head of cattle a day. They're going to go to paying attention, but boy, they get burnt out quick. It's hard on them.
Yeah. Where'd you go after the King Ranch?
So I decided to leave the King Ranch right before I turned 23 because I wanted to see more of the world. I kind of wanted to day work and really kind of do it. I was riding all the ranch horses and, my dad was still trading horses back home. And so, I still had some geldings that I had left there and that were just getting big and fat. And so I went to day work and
once you get onto that camp life, you kind of like, you're there.
You're there.
And there ain't no outside world to it.
No, I mean, and like I said, whenever we first got there, it was fun because we were catching remnants every evening. We'd feed cows during the day, do whatever chores needed to be done. And then, we'd see a set of remnants in one pasture that, we'd feed them off to one side where it opened up. And then we'd come back, dog them, go catching stuff and penning them. And, we'd fill up those pens there at the headquarters with all the remnants. And you kind of, at the end of the day, you feel like you did something,
For sure.
But after I left the King, I moved to Cameron and I went to go work day work for a yearling operation for a few months.
What year was that?
That was 2020, right before COVID. Right before COVID. It was crazy. I was working there, living in the bunkhouse, and COVID hit. And it's funny because it felt like for everybody else the world stopped, but for me it was just
another day.
I mean, I worked in Cameron for a few months, and then I had some buddies there at the King that they were wanting to kind of see more of the world as well, and so they talked me into going to an outfit there in Arizona for a few months and helping them wean in the fall and winter. And so we went to the Lazy Bee right there in Duncan, Arizona, right there on the Arizona-New Mexico line. And we stayed there for, 90 days, 120 days, something like that. And it was fun. We'd always wanted to see Arizona. And we all got a good taste of it. We were catching remnants over there too. And, shoeing horses, like I said, I'm from South Texas, I went to sand and red dirt country, where I didn't have too much rocks. When I got in Uvalde, we did kind of have some rocks, but I was kind of going to school more than anything. Didn't have to shoe too many, so we got to Arizona, I kind of learned how to put iron on a horse pretty quick. And it may not have been right, but it worked, After that.
What were you doing? Did y'all tie them to trees and do that whole deal, or did you just lead them out immediately?
We were leading them out. We're catching remnants, but we weren't catching like 3 or 4 year old bulls or nothing like that. They're usually long yearlings, 2-year-olds. Nothing too wild.
Yeah, I just usually go after the wild stuff in Arizona. That's just how I do.
Yeah, we dang sure wanted to go up farther north, but we just didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
So we did.
I only caught one big one, and it was the last day, and all these guys, my horse was done. And even, not that I would have let him go by, but Derek had said, he was like, your horse is done if they don't go out with them. If you're just staying on the road, that's fine, like if your horse is done. But if they come to you, you got to help.
Yeah.
Well, like I would have done that either way.
Yeah.
But 6 bulls, 5 cowboys. And they do pass, 20 yards in front of me. And I saw them coming, and I was angling for it. Well, anyways, 6 bulls, 5 cowboys. And sure enough, this big red bull comes across right in front of me. And so I follow him down the creek, and he's about to go in the brush, and just the prettiest heel loop I've ever thrown. And because I knew Cole was coming and Donnie was coming behind me. And so I grab him, and while I'm waiting on Cole to come around there and put a head loop on him, I get to looking, and I was like, dadgum, that ear looks notched. And then I look back, and sure enough, it was a steer. And so he belonged to somebody.
He belonged to somebody, yeah.
And they didn't know who, but they knew it was a steer.
Yeah.
And so they didn't they weren't,
They
let him go. But
man.
I thought I had the biggest, and it was the biggest one of the day for sure. Maybe the whole trip. This dude was huge. It was like
Steers get huge.
Oh man. He was like a 4-year-old steer.
Yeah.
And so with no horns, muley, but I was just like, ooh, I jackpot. I don't even have to go up in the mountains with him.
Yeah,
He just came to me, and it was just funny because like all the other ones, if you've watched the Arizona video, like it's like 2 cows, 2 yearlings, and then this big steer, huge steer. And so it was just fun. It was a Dale moment where it was just like, oh, good one, Dale. But anyhow, those were my. So I give you a hard time about the big Mavericks out there, but no, I didn't catch a big one. That was what it impressed me about those guys though, was you want the biggest one out there because you're going to sell it. Absolutely. And so like whatever.
And they're worth something right now.
They're worth more, so you want to get the biggest thing. You don't want to just grab some 4 weights when there's
waste your time.
When there's a 1,000-pound bull out there, but they would, wolf it on them, number one, but just no pause with just the sharpest of horns, longer than these microphone stands.
I believe it. Yes,
just like daggers, and just take to them, and it's almost like they were jousting with the bull, and the bull had the horns and they had ropes.
Yep.
And anyhow, I tried to keep up, and I really did. I really did go after, but these guys were just so much more efficient.
They know how to travel the country.
Oh my gosh!
That's the thing about their strategy is, they know it.
And the other thing is, like you said, you get 1 or 2 good jerks out of a horse going after something, and then after that, you just hope that you get to cross paths. It's not like, because you can't just go, you can't see something on the other side of the valley and just go get it if you've already done that 3 times that day.
Right.
And hopefully, if you're on your 4th chase, you've crossed water.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't, anyway.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
but
sir.
I just have to preface when I ask all these questions, I'm not asking because I'm an expert,
Right.
my little 690-pound cow that I, maybe not even that. I bet she weighed 700. But anyway, so how long were you in Arizona?
Hey, old son, if you're not feeding every morning with a Can-Am side-by-side, then you ain't no cowboy. I got a Can-Am because I needed a reliable ranch rig that I could use every day because I don't know how to work on stuff like that. So I want something that's not going to break down ever. Get yourself a Can-Am, old son. I hope you're enjoying a ranch fuel as you're listening to this episode of Rodeo Time. Use code DALE on ranchfuel.com for 15% off, old son. Drink up and use code DALE on ranchfuel.com.
We were there, I think, 90, 120 days, something like that. And then come back, and I moved around Central Texas where I'm living now, around Georgetown, Florence area. And so I went day working for a yearling operation there. And then I kind of bounced around for a little while. I know I went up in Dalhart. I stayed in Dalhart for a winter.
What made you go to Georgetown and Florence?
My best friend he was my partner there at the King. He lives there. He's from there.
Okay, so you just knew some people down there.
I knew some people there, right? And so I was able to find a little lease place and keep some horses there. And there's a big yearling operation not too far from there that I'd hire me for day work whenever things got slow, and just doctoring yearlings, shipping yearlings. So
yeah,
it was pretty good. I traveled a little bit. I went East Texas. I went back South Texas. I went to Dalhart. I stayed a winter in Dalhart. That was a mistake. And
what was a mistake about it?
It was cold.
Yeah,
it was cold. The only time I had seen snow, or the first time I seen snow, was in Corpus Christi, and it was 2017. I think December 7th. I think it snowed 6 inches there, and it was insane because we're 4 or 5 miles from the bay.
45 miles?
4 to 5 miles from the
okay.
bay. We're right there close on the bay, so it was insane that there was that much snow there, that it snowed at all, And
right.
So next time I seen snow, I was in Dalhart, and it was no joke. It was, they had blizzards come through and everything, and I was just thinking to myself, what am I doing here? Why am I here? But, I stuck it out and got done with it, and just know that wasn't for me. But
yeah.
traveled up to Kansas a little bit, Oklahoma. I got some friends up there. Helped them drag some calves and catch some cows and, all kinds of stuff. We went back to New Mexico for a little while and then kind of come back down, did some catch jobs around Georgetown, Florence, and, just bouncing around.
Drifter.
Yeah, for a little bit.
A day work drifter.
Yeah, for a little bit. I know, it was fun. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I traveled a little bit. I got to meet some awesome people.
Yeah. How old are you now?
27.
27.
Yes, sir.
Spring chicken.
Yes, sir.
So are you done drifting?
I think for the most part I am. I'd like to kind of move back home, South Texas, and kind of, focus more on horses. A little bit more. Go back to kind of team roping, rope some steers. I like roping steers, and so, and I kind of miss the brush too sometimes.
Yeah.
When I'm in the thicket hunting a cow, sometimes I hate it, but then I get up here in the open and I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
So, I always figured I was going to make that big circle back home, and on my way.
Dang. Where's your girlfriend from?
She's actually from Kentucky, and her family run a big boarding facility in Kentucky. And so she knows everything about a horse, and every time I have questions about a horse, she's the one to answer. Sometimes it's a little annoying. She knows so much, but at the same time, she knows way more than I'll ever know. So
Yeah.
she's kind of my secret weapon.
Yeah. There's some of those weird horse girls.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, that's what Jordan calls herself, is a weird horse girl. Just geeks out over just all of it, horsepower wise, whether it's nutrition or vet, health, or just the mannerisms and horsemanship. But sometimes the way that if some of those girls can get super passionate about it, and then they seem to retain the knowledge a lot better.
Absolutely.
My wife worked in some vet clinics, and I don't think she's ever forgotten anything they ever showed
Yeah.
her. And I use her for advice all the time on stuff.
Yeah.
She can mainline a chicken in a dead run. If they can be striking at her, and she steps sideways and get a needle in one eye. She's really, them girls are good at that.
Dude, catching a vein. Yeah. I'm 3 for 3 on my last, but prior to that, I was having heck. Sometimes I just get that Bantam and just shoot it in their mouth.
Yeah, they got it. They got
All right, y'all. I mean, good luck.
6 times.
Yeah.
This will work. It'll just take longer.
Exactly. Bucking horses are the worst.
Oh,
Yeah, just trying to catch a vein on a bucking horse. Good heavens. Anyway, but yeah, women seem to, there'll be like something familiar about a conversation that I've had. Like, you know what? I've heard that. It's been 8 years. And for the girl, it might have been 12 years, but they'll remember verbatim what it was.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's good to have a weird horse girl around.
Yeah, it's nice. It really is nice. Yeah. I try not to call her weird horse girl, but, you know.
It's an in-house term for us at Radiator Ranch. Just so, I mean, I don't mean it in any sort of derogatory sense, but the extreme version of the weird horse girl, we all know.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she probably got like 8 horse tattoos.
Yeah.
And just like all the things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Barrel racers. Those are weird horse girls. Yeah.
I think so.
They'll fit in that category.
Yeah, they can fit in it, yeah.
There's other things weird about barrel racers that have nothing to do with the horses, though. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Not as crazy, though, as goat tires. I'm going to get myself in trouble on this podcast.
Point this a different direction.
Citizens Winnebago.
Click. Yeah.
I'm just kidding, y'all. I'm just kidding. Bull riders, there's plenty wrong with bull riders, too. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, nobody found out.
I'm sure there's something.
There's got to be something.
We probably messed something up. I don't know. I've made mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the 90s, I remember a couple. Not many since then.
Yeah.
So you got a big horse for sale, don't you? Is that the one that you called me about like a year ago?
No, sir. No.
You already sold that one?
Yes, sir.
So this is another big horse.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yep.
What's his deal? What's his story?
I think he's a 6-year-old. He come out of the horse sale in Montana, Billings.
You think?
I think, he did come out of the horse sale in Billings.
No, I'm saying, got the papers?
No, he's not papered.
So is he like one of those 6-year-olds that's like 9?
His teeth? He say 6. He's
No, I believe
horse
you.
may say 9, but he says 6.
Most all of my horses are grade.
Oh, yes,
so
sir.
I'm not throwing rocks.
Mine too. I like them drafty crosses. I'm big on them. I love them.
Yeah, I like usually the price point.
Yes, sir.
You can look at my Remuda and tell, okay, he got a good deal on these horses.
Oh, yeah.
He got a good deal on these. That's what that was.
Yeah.
So Buckethead. I'm almost certain he's a 2016 model, So he's 9. Dang, Buckethead's 9. Anyway, I need another Buckethead is what I need. I need another.
Good ones. They get old quick.
Don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a few. Actually, my girlfriend gets a bunch of horses for on consignment. So we get draft crosses, we get big horses. She just picked up the other day an Appaloosa mule. So
Don't need an Appaloosa mule.
Well,
I don't really even need a draft horse. I need one of those all-around horses because I can pick up on Buckethead. Kids can ride him. You can branch on him. He's not going to get it done very pretty. He's going to sling his head.
that's fine.
But I need the picking up part. That's what I need. I need a really, big enough and stout enough and fast enough to do that. Because I'll do like 2 or 3 of those gigs a year. Oh, yeah. So.
Yeah, if you can pick up on them, you can do all the rest on them.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It's so fun getting in there and just bouncing up against a bucking horse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun. Especially when you got a good horse that'll do it.
It knows it, yeah.
Just the same way they might track a steer, they realize like, all right, I got to get in there.
Yeah,
And then they
rate them bucking horses.
they're trying to bite them and stuff. That's what's, man. Because some of them will not do it.
Yeah.
And I got another horse, which I bought him to try to pick up on Buster Rhymes. You get in next to a bucking horse, and this joker is hitting the brakes.
Oh, yeah.
So then you're getting kicked in the knee.
Right.
Yeah.
Wrong time.
But that might be the toughest thing to get into rough stock wise for rodeo is picking up. There's a lot of people want to do it, but I argue some of the most cowboy guys in the arena and then they got to be well mounted. And you can't just have one.
No, you can't make a living that way. Yeah,
you got to have like 5 of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then even if you have 5, like one's going to have a bad day and be crippled or something. And then, you know, if you got a 3-day rodeo,
Oh, gosh.
that's hard on some horses.
Oh, yes, sir.
Anyhow, yeah. About 7 head in your string. And they all got to be able to do the deal.
Do the deal. Yeah. Exactly.
But I bet you can find some of those draft horses that you can do that with.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I actually got a Percheron stud that I put on a bunch of saddle mares. I got 13 mares. I put them on this year. And so next year I'm going to have a bunch of babies. I got four yearlings from last year that I've been, you know, playing with a little bit, you know, getting them halter broke and stuff. And they're out of all kinds of different mares. I got appendix bred mares. I got papered mares. I got just old saddle mares that, you know, I rode along the way. And, you know, I'm very excited about them.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Were you as excited about them as you were excited to get to punch cows with Dale Brisby?
I was not.
Yeah.
No, I was not.
Man, that must just be an honor for you guys.
It was like
I was your next man. Can you believe
Highlight of my career comes to mind.
Weston? Dale Brisby was my how many people have you texted today? Dale Brisby was my next man this morning.
I'm glad I lost my phone on the drive and got a new one because I needed one that was tuned up.
Yeah, he texted me and I was on the drive with y'all. Like,
you lost your phone last week, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah, on one of them rainy days.
Did you? How'd you find it?
I didn't.
Oh, yeah. I talked to Dusty that afternoon. He's like, "Yeah, Weston them." Because didn't y'all go back and look for it?
We tried, but it wouldn't pick up on the Find My iPhone radar, so we just had to go get a new one.
What pasture?
Oh, where were we in over the Ned?
Yeah, Northeast Dixon.
Yeah. Did it just like devastate you?
Oh no, if that's the only thing I tear up this week, then we're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
That's our biggest loss.
I definitely wouldn't be devastated if I lost my phone today, but over the last, even while we were in Arizona, I just got to thinking, I was like, man, I haven't backed this thing up because my phone is 1 terabyte of storage, not the cloud. I'm talking about on the phone. It's the biggest, you know, storage space they had because like, that's what my job is, you know? So like, I'm just constantly, the interns are airdropping me 4K videos that are 9 minutes long. You know, I got to have storage on my phone. And this sucker's been in my pocket for 2.5 years. And so I'm like, Dad gum, if I lost this rascal.
Out.
And I constantly am just resisting the urge to update my iCloud storage because I just think it's a scam. And finally I got to looking on there. It's like $9.99 a month, you know, and it'll back up everything. And I was thinking $120 a year. I bet that would be worth it for me to just go ahead and pay. So I did that, and man, now I can breathe a little easier if, you know, because I don't know. I get worried about, you know, if I got kicked while it's in my leggings or something.
Yes, sir.
But
yeah. I know one spring, I don't know, last 2 springs ago, I took my leggings off and put them on the fence and put my phone in the pocket, and I don't know how, but a bunch of calves, I guess, went to turn in the fence and hit my phone and broke it in my leggings pocket.
Ooh.
On the fence. And so
Dang.
Of course.
It's crazy how dependent we can get on them.
Oh, absolutely.
Or at least I can.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah. Well, cool deal, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys jumping on. We normally wrap up with life advice. Like if you got like a one-liner or just something you heard.
Easy come, easy go.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah. You got anything, Weston?
Oh man, I should have thought about this earlier.
No, it's all right.
I ain't very good at it, but
you want to phone a friend?
Keeping your eyes and ears open and your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Good advice.
There you go.
I ain't good at it.
Get in front of them to turn them and behind them to drive them. Mm-hmm. That's it. Cool. Well, appreciate you guys listening. Everybody check out rodeotime.com. I'm Dale Brisby with Weston and Ricky. And we're on to the next one, old son.
Thank you, Dale.
Pow, pow. Thank you, fellas.